Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this, as you all probably know by now, is my partner in crime here, Puccini, who helps me in the craft room. At least he keeps me company and gets in a lot of trouble actually. And today we have a very fun card for you. It is a way to cut, I guess you could call it a one-sheet wonder, a 6x6 one-sheet wonder that allows you to make 4 cards that are very simple, very easy. You can make them more elaborate if you want. You can do them very plainly if you want. And I have a bunch of examples and I'm going to show you how to cut the paper to make this wonderful card. It's been around for a long time, but I haven't seen it in a while, and so I thought I would bring it up and do it, and we'll just get started. Here are the cards that I have made using this cutting technique. We start with a piece of 6x6, and I'm going to show you how to cut them. And then I have lots of samples that I have done. This is one I did. I used the paper, the animal paper, and I bought that set of paper because I love the back side of every single one of those pieces of paper. And some of them, let me grab it and show it to you. Here is the paper, and ordinarily I would not buy this paper because the scenes in it just don't appeal much to me. I suppose if I was making something for my grandson, a couple of these might work, but look at this beautiful back side of this paper. And then there's this paper that has the trees and the cows and flowers. And the back side of this very graphic green, which I think is very interesting. And then the back side of this paper is this almost burlappy looking thing. And then this is the front side. And then this one has a honeycomb in the back, which I like a lot. And it's got the ducks and the chicks on the other side. And let's see, this is another one of those giant graphics, but I like the backside for use on building different kinds of patterns and using different papers. This one has compelling colors, but it is corn and tomatoes and onions. But this backside is pretty good. So I went ahead and got this paper because I thought it would make good masculine cards. And I think cutting it this way allows you to do both. So I made examples of both kinds of cards. And what you do is you take a piece of 6x6. This is the side I'm going to use, so I'm going to do my marking on the back side. And what we're going to do is mark this at 2 inches or 1.5 inches. Now you can cut this 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 2 inches. I've cut all of those lengths and I like this configuration the best. So I'm going to make a mark at 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to turn my paper a 1/4 turn, and I'm going to mark my paper again at 1.5 inches right at the base there. Turn it again. So I'm going to end up making 4 marks. 1.5 and one last one here at 1.5. And so there I have my paper marked. Then I'm going to take my trimmer and I'm going to put it in here so that I put my mark 1.5 in the cutting channel and the opposite one 1.5 in the cutting channel. And I am going to slice that paper. Then I'm going to try and hold this together and get to the next mark, which is over here. It's real easy to get confused about what corners you're cutting to and from here, but I've decided there's a couple of things to keep in mind. If you wanted to, you could actually put a piece of washi tape on this, cut through and then put a piece of washi tape on it so that it'd be easy to move around. The other thing to remember is that you're cutting basically an X pattern. So you're going to cut this way and then you're going to cut this way. When you screw up and do it the wrong way, what you get, and ask me how I know, you get pieces that look like this, that are a little bit longer, with a really long piece and a short diamond. And so it was real easy to put it on there, thought I knew what I was doing, and then cut it wrong. So if you make sure that you're cutting opposite sides and you're making an X pattern, you should be just fine. Now I've since then cut bunches of them because I tried doing it shorter at one, this is 1 1/2, so I tried doing it 1 1/4 and a 1 and a 1 3/4 and a 2, and the little pieces come out just slightly different. And I like I said, I like this configuration the best. It gives me the most bang for my money, I think. And what you end up with are these 4 pieces. And we're going to use this side, although I suppose you could use one side or the other. And this is another one where if you really like both sides of the piece of paper, then maybe you would do 4 different cards, some of them this way and some of them the other way. So I want to show you on this. You can put it here and make your card this way, or leave it there and do your card this way. And so you end up having ones that you can do at different places on the card that give you both a portrait and a landscape option. So out of one piece of 6x6 paper, you can make 4 cards. Now, you could just make it 2 cards and cut this down and use this same piece on the inside, say back here just to cover that corner, or put a piece across the inside. This is the Fancy Flora paper, page 15 in your catalog, and it's got all of these patterns here, which turn out to be really lovely paper. I just love this paper. I've been able to do so much with it. I have another card coming up later this week using a different paper in there. And you do get 8 6x6 sheets. So cutting it this way, there's no waste on a 6x6 paper, and you can still get 4 cards. I thought these would make lovely gift card packets for someone that had a happy birthday, thinking of you, and a thank you, and maybe just a note card. And with the envelopes would make a lovely little gift. Put a little ribbon around it and you're done. And you can do like I did here and put this directly on the page, or you can elect to use another piece of paper like this to give that extra layer. And I've done some both ways. I have 8 samples to show you. So I'm going to show these first. I did this one, and I just picked up the colors that were in here. There's balmy blue in this, there's mint macaron in this, there's coral, there's fresh freesia, so you can pick colors. There's petal pink, there's all different kinds of choices. So these are the 4 cards that I made that were more feminine, and I did these particularly so that I could utilize and make this as simple as possible. Now, this corner had some of this gray granite showing, so on this one, I didn't put any kind of a mat behind it. I put this directly on the gray granite and then put this piece down so you could see that it matched the gray granite. Then I picked up a couple of colors in here, and I did these designs particularly because there are punches. That makes this go really fast. So on some of these, I did the bigger flower in the coral and the smaller flower in the petal pink, or just the smaller flower in the petal pink. So I used this punch for that. Then I used this punch, which is, I think, called Boughs. And this one has the little flower that I used here, and it has some of these bigger leaves, which I used on this card. And then I used our, from the Country Floral Lane, I used this punch. So I used big hearts and small hearts and leaves. I used some of these leaves with the other flowers, and I used these designs. I did these designs because I wanted something that you could cut your paper, pick out a color for your background, punch out a few flowers, put your card together, and you're done. So this is very, very fast, very easy, very simple. And that's what I was going for. So there are my ones that I did that are the more feminine ones, using that designer series paper from the Flora suite. And so there are those 4 cards. Then I thought, we all have such a difficult time sometimes coming up with masculine cards. I loved this kind of plaid pattern here from the back side of the animal paper. So this is one of the ones I did. I also did this one, and this one I just used the painted texture embossing folder, and then free floated this piece on here, sort of centered on it, and then I stamped my image down here on the white. And on the inside, I just did another piece of that embossed paper to match the outside. And if you're willing to sacrifice a little of this plaid paper, you could add a little bit of that in here to add to the decorations, or putting another sentiment in here. Then I did this one, and I just did a splatter, a thank you, used a little bit of twine, put my plaid on there, and then did put some plaid on the inside and a little splatter there. So that was my 4th card. And then this was my final card that I did for masculine. And the embellishments that I used on this are those brushed metallic pieces, brushed metallic adhesive back dots. And they come in kind of this pewter color, copper and the gold. And I used copper and the pewter color here to put some of these on the cards to decorate them up. Those are the 4 cards. Now I have 4 birthday cards and a thank you card I could send to a guy. Really simple. And even to put a couple of these in a gift pack for someone, I think makes a lovely gift. And everything is simple. This is just a piece of cherry cobbler. This is a piece of soft suede. This is another tiny piece of cherry cobbler. I used black, I used brown, this is soft suede, this I used crumb cake, and this I just left the 2 colors. So lots of choices here. On these, I think I did put a backing on every one of these. On these, this is the one I did with no backing, just straight on the card. And then these others, I picked the backing from the inside of here. I did think about putting a petal pink on this one, and it really is very pretty. The petal pink against that gray granite is really attractive, so that would have worked really well. And you can see adding that petal pink color would be nice on that one too. But I did want to show one where it was straight on the card. So that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. It's always a good time to join Stampin' Up! $125 worth of product for $99. And your first minimum isn't due until the end of August. This I thought was a fun project, because it's easy to do. I sat here this afternoon and just made all of these cards, and I was making up designs and doing that. If you already know what you're doing, trust me, this is really fast. Let's see, I have a prize draw once a month. And you can put yourself in the drawing by putting an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net. You can get to it through my blog, www.inkingenuity.com. So that's it for me, and I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!